All right. Now that my dancing eyebrows have ceased and now that my hair is firmly in place, I'd like to say thank you to Shadow and Sun and Shauner or Sean Driscoll, Travis, J, 1975, and Jade's Tabletop Tavern for being in the chat, waiting for us diligently because we're supposed to be in 15 minutes ago. But a wizard is always on time for the things that he deems necessary. So, with that being said, tonight's episode of Table Breakers, this is episode 29, and I'm excited about this. We have a good show for you guys. We're going to be talking about a little bit of high level gaming from G Rock. We're going to talk about some things involving multi classing, character theory, and other topics that other people don't like. And that's okay. When you sit down to play a character that you want to play, you you want to play it. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. You're going to play it. That's what the agreement is. Now, you and the DM have an idea of how the rule set works before the first die is cast. If there's a problem, the dungeon master will discuss with you. Here's how it works at this table. And you're like, that's fine. I want to play this type of character, and here's my theory for it. Here's the way I want to go. And that's completely for your table. In the past, we always say the people that run these games, the dungeon masters, have more power than any corporation or any game writer ever will have. Because when it comes down to an individual table, the people running the game, people playing the game at that table are going to decide how things are played. No matter what anybody else thinks, no matter what anybody has chiseled on a slate, no matter what may have been written in a book. Just remember that. Tonight's game, Table Breakers, episode 29. Please welcome the Cigar DM. Please welcome Jade. Please welcome Baron G Rock. Hello, Sir Coffee. Hello, Darren P. And hello, Travis again. Cigar DM, how are you doing?
I'm good. I think I might have stumbled upon my new favorite cigar just by taste alone. This cigar is from the brand called Diesel, and it's been aged in a sherry cask, which smells amazing. So that's where I'm at.
Well, do me a favor, throw that link up in the private chat, and I'm going to share it with the world for those people that are esteemed enough and astute enough to want to partake and explore cigars. I want them to have options. I believe in options. That's why I'm a 3X game designer and a game master. Jade, how are you doing on your end, sir? You're muted.
I'm doing fairly well as can be expected. Just, standard life things. Working 40 hours a week, not finding, enough free time to do other things. The standard things.
That isn't too bad. With this week going on so far, I know you've had some rough things going on with your life, and those things can remain completely personal to you and private from the rest of the world.
I appreciate that.
But my main thing that I want to know from you is, do you have a light at the end of this tunnel to where you can see, like, where you can start having your normalcy return?
Yes. I think that's going to be the end of May for me. Once June comes around, things will calm down a little bit. Because a lot of the activities and whatnot that are happening, May is just a really busy month. You've got Mother's Day. I had a funeral or a death in the family this past week, and then I've got a wedding this coming weekend, and then Memorial Day is right there around the corner, and I spend that time with my family in St. Louis. So it's just a really busy month. And my dog is chewing a bone next to me. One moment.
Dogs! And while he's playing with the dog, we're going to get Garrett or Baron G Rock and his poocher.
This is actually more for my wife because she's sitting in my chat, so she can see her putt.
Aww.
There's nothing better in the world than coming home to a dog. Maybe a loving wife or a loving husband, but I'd rather come home to a dog.
You know what I like coming home to?
If you put your wife and a dog in the trunk of a car and you drive for an undisclosed amount of miles and you open the trunk, who's going to be happier to see you? So I want to come home to a dog.
Says the man who is just recently married, is newly married between all of us.
My wife got upset because I said, should we have a board in the background with the running amount, how much money's on the current draw to see how long we'll stay married? And she slapped me, so I got abused.
I mean, if we're taking
Oh
bets,
God, is she gonna write an op-ed too, or what?
She probably will. She probably.
Okay, and then like 10 years from now, you'll be sitting in a courtroom pointing fingers at each other, and yeah,
He shit the bed.
She's gonna try to suck up all that good YouTube money.
Make sure you do it in California. It's a no-fault state.
Tell you what, the way it's going, as much as I'm growing on YouTube, I actually see Rumble throwing more money at me. And somebody actually threw me a super chat through StreamYards, and I apologize, Mr. Jim McKee, but I have yet to receive your money. There's we're dealing with it between me and PayPal. Something about verified account, but the system blitzes after that, so I'm probably going to get it squared away in about another 10 days. Sorry.
But as I was saying, you know what I like coming home to, Bruce?
What's that?
A good beer. See, a good beer will not be upset with you when you bring more than just one of them home.
That's why you go to the Strippers Guild. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, the Strippers Guild would really help you out, I think.
Oh, oatmeal stout. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, what are we talking about tonight?
Well, there is a old topic that I would love to discuss with Garrett about this high-level gaming that we have discussed before, and he wasn't in the chat that last time. But do you have any thoughts on running a table with high level or Act 3 of the campaign?
Well, when you're looking at something along those lines, when you're getting into the Act 3, the twilight of the story, it's really more about, at least for me, it almost becomes more about what can I throw at them that they're not going to expect. So it's kind of like one of those things of, so what are we gonna? What can I throw at them? Not necessarily to kill them, but to really throw them completely off their game.
So how would you? So you've got characters that are like, just say we're playing D&D, and they're like 14th, 15th level, and the game has been mostly terrestrial. Haven't been a lot of high level things going on. You've done high level battles, but you're still kind of on a regional basis, like going from province to province to province. Well, how are you gonna challenge them?
A green slot.
Oh, God.
A green slot and maybe a case of esophageal syphilis or something?
No, you remember. You're about 14th, 15th level.
Yeah.
This is like, oh, I'll just drop this green slot out on the table. TPK.
Yeah.
8 players dead. Dirty bastard.
Hey, multi-gun man. Yeah,
This was up the game room. That was up the game room. I think Bruce was just getting bored with the game, so he's like, "Screw it! I'm just gonna destroy it."
No, that's actually one of the third round of that combat events. If you read the Bane Warrens, you have to go into your Tolus files, and it's the
Yeah.
Bane Warrens. The Green Slod is a third round introduction into the combat, and everything just went downhill. He killed Carl. Hit
No,
Carl.
Yeah, me too.
Carl.
Oh, Carl, the heavy breather. Oh yeah,
Oh, Carl. Poor Carl.
Carl
Now,
with the
is this the Carl with the pie?
this is
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
when we talk about Carl, me and Garrett finally talk about Carl, which I'm worried about his health more than anybody else that I remember from Peoria.
I
And he's
haven't
outlasted
seen.
more people than I thought.
No.
Like I didn't expect the alumni from Judges Guild to start dying off before Carl. Carl, and I honestly thought he would be long gone, because when you watch him go up like 2 or 3 steps to get into the threshold of a building, he's like all of a sudden, and him walking from the front of the back to a game store is a taxing encounter for him. That's like
Even
a
when
cold
he's
war for you and me.
even when he stops and looks at stuff, he's still out of breath.
Yeah. Like I'm worried if that guy gets the coof up, there's no gravestone.
Now, is this the gentleman? Because there's this older guy I know back in the day. I've seen him at the game shop. I've seen him at Just for Fun. And he had a tattoo of a blue dragon on his arm. If you say so. So I was wondering if this is the same gentleman.
G-Rock, did Carl have a blue dragon tattooed on his
I
arm?
I don't remember. He had a beard out to here.
Huge
No,
beard.
little beard gnomes living in it.
Yeah, he had beard gnomes. He had pieces of yesterday's meals in his beard that they would throw in his mouth occasionally. He
There's
would
a
run his
reason.
hand through his beard, and then he would throw the scraps back in his mouth, and 80% of the time he'd miss. So it'd just go back in the beard.
There is a
Damn it.
reason why my local game shop has on the door no shoes, no shirt, no shower, no business.
No. Carl did bathe. His mother forced him to bathe. The best story we have of Carl was when
New Year's Eve. Well, no,
before Jen got divorced.
New Year's
Before Jen
Eve.
got divorced, she tells us, so I'm sitting at home one day, and all of a sudden my phone rings. My husband's in the other room, so I get up and I jump up and I grab my phone, and I pick up the phone and I hear it. And Jen's like, holy shit, this is really happening. So she kicks her feet up on the futon, and she's like, oh, this is going to be great. I haven't had a dirty phone call in years. Hi, Jen. It's Carl. And all of a sudden, she just dried up. She just like, it was like turned into like a bread factory. There's not an ounce of moisture in the oyster. And she's like, oh, God. Hi, Carl. She's like, about 10 seconds ago, I was thinking about rubbing one out. And now all of a sudden, I got Carl on the phone, and sex is the furthest thing from my mind.
And then not soon after that, we had New Year's Eve party up at the game room, and everybody brought snacks and stuff like that. So I run over to, there was a little mom and pop grocery store.
Pie store ever.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, amazing pies.
Their
But
pie game was amazing.
But I got 2 pecan pies. I'm like, yeah, all right, eat that. So Carl systematically pulls the pie out. Well, says no one's touched this. Pulls out the pie, cuts it in half. I think he's gonna go ahead and cut it.
He quartered the pie.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, he did quarter it, and I'm like, okay, you're gonna cut
quarter it so he could fold it right.
Yeah. So here he does. He picks this up. He puts the pie in his hand like this, and he folds the pie. He unhinges the jaw, brings the pie in. The little gnomes that live in his beard are all like this, pushing to get the pie in the hole. And yeah, and Jin, the same person, turns to him and says, "Haven't you ever heard of a plate?" He goes, "My mom's been trying to get me to use a plate for 50 years and it still hasn't worked yet." Oh yeah, then when she called him, because he was living with his mom had some health issues and whatnot, but he called and he goes, what was it? It was, "Carl, it's a female." Yeah, that was the best. That yeah.
Carl, it's a female.
Did somebody say pie?
And I just remembered that the movie or the old TV series V had a disconcerting part where they ate a rat, and so I had to show that. That's if some of you are wondering what's going on there. Mark Singer was watching Diana Badler chew down a rat. One of my
You
favorite
dirty rat.
shows. Yeah. So,
anyways, but getting back to the high level, but seriously, the throwing something of a challenge at them and trying to figure out what's going to be a challenge and what's going to kill them, and trying to ride that line. To me as DM, I think that is actually one of the most fun things to do, is being able to just stay just on that line of, okay, I'm going to traumatize them, but I'm not going to kill them.
that's the goal. That's what I've tried to do to all of you for years.
Traumatizing, you've done it well. Your Highness.
Parrot Head is the greatest liar I've ever met. Bruce's streams are always highbrow. I love you, Parrot Head.
It's only because he uses the paintbrush to paint those brows so high.
I was about to say, only if we're standing next to the guy who played Wick.
John Wick?
No, the little
Andrew?
person.
Oh, you mean Wicket?
Yeah.
Okay.
I hold my pinky
all
up.
the people. It sounds better in my head. It was one of those comments. But
That's
yeah,
okay.
no, I completely agree with you there, Baron. Have something at the end of the game that it's going to stick. It's going to stick with them for years later. I'm like, you won't believe we finally get to where we need to be, and that asshole drops this on us. But why wasn't this, or this? I don't know. But that son of a bitch had in mind to stick a green slod, or inbred orc, in there, whatever.
Darren P.
Yes.
Thank you.
Always hold my pinky up to the entire stream.
$2
Is that what
million.
you're holding? Is that what you're holding up the entire stream? Oh my!
So you're trying to just kind of bottom out their expectations. We're going back. We're kind of like last night, going on expectations almost again.
It's not necessarily. Yeah, I read that too. I wear my monocle.
I have my top hat and my Bob Ross wig.
It's the end of the campaign, aka prom night, and you guys go back to the hotel or to the dungeon, and you're thinking it's going to go one way when the scenario introduces another direction on you.
No, see, no. It's prom night, and then you go to the strippers guild because fuck all that mess.
I don't know that very many strip clubs are 18 plus. I've yet to find them.
There used to be one not far from you.
That's 21 and up.
No, it was on the other side of the river as you're heading toward Canton. because it's not there anymore. But yeah, it was a BYOB, so it was 18 and above.
Yep. I know what you're talking about on Farmington.
No.
No, then I'm confused because there was on Farmington.
Yes, you are.
All right.
You're very confused. It's okay. But no, riding that line and just seeing what you can do to either A, traumatize them, or B, try not to utterly kill them. I mean, you can throw the normal stuff. Oh, let me throw an aboleth. Oh, let me throw a mind flare. Oh, let me throw, but these are all things that are used over and over and over. So trying to come up with a very interesting way to do it. I mean, even if you're throwing like a Bob Rossian vampire at them or something, I don't know.
My name is Matt Foley, and I am a 35-year-old divorced man, and I'm currently living in a van down by the river.
Yeah, I can't say anything. Shut up, Jade.
Okay.
35, huh? I think I moved back
to
up to Illinois roughly when I was 35. I'm 38 now. Yeah, that makes sense.
Dude, you could pull out a Matt Foley Bard and fuck over your 5e players so hard, dude. I think I have great. If you're not going to run Blazing Saddles, the Cigar DM way, then fine. You need to have Matt Foley take back. Since we're going to reanimate Stan Lee and he's going to be in new Marvel features, we're going to just drag out Chris Farley and make another Weekend at Bernie's 6. And he'll be part of this new movement where we just animate the things we love from long ago, because that's the Disney way right now.
Yeah, we'll call it the Chonky edition.
Gee whiz, man, I get no respect around here, Wait, no, wrong person.
A lot of girls that go to high school have part-time jobs. Where's my cane, cape, and gloves? Candy Striper, says Shawner. Do the Stripers have C-section scars? Asks Parrothead. Is this a Farmington joke? Do they live there? Are these guys from Illinois too? We could have prom night on Guild night and half the crowd would be the same. Wow. And
so anyways, high level gaming. It might be one of those streams tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what sticks.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have Kai to do a rant for us. So
no, Kai already ranted this week. I'm good.
True. This is true.
He had a hell of a rant earlier, and it was like, holy shit! I think he's spent. So I might have to kick Kai off of Discord so he can just save up and join the rest of us on Thursday. I wouldn't do that to you, Kai. I love you, man. Kind of made me sad. It's like, but he's giving away all of his chi. He's giving away all his chi. It's in Discord where it's all text and nobody can appreciate it. I need him to do this in a stream when he can do it in front of thousands potentially, or millions.
And millions.
Don't type it out. Darren P's like, how about them drow? We'll get them darn drow.
Well, now we transferred over to Beacon.
Remember the sign on the bridge they used to have? Oops, you can't talk about that anymore.
At least it's not Goofy Ridge.
Oh man.
Anyways, so to put a cap on the high level gaming end of the campaign, a quick question for you guys. A lot of you guys have been DMing more than I have, and I have more player stories than I might have DM stories, at least from on the level that you guys would have. But what has been your favorite as a player? What has been your favorite capstone thing to throw at your party? And what, as a player, what was your favorite capstone creature at the end of a campaign?
Go ahead there, Garrett.
Well, I would say probably the capstone on the end of the game actually would be, when we did Zin's Last, and and all that was left of my poor cleric was just his boots in the snow.
Oh, so sad, so
Yeah.
sad.
Although we did have the most epic NPC with us of all time, and I've actually brought him into several of my games, with the blessing of Bruce, of course. There is a gentleman that Bruce actually used to game with, and it's kind of one of those keeping his memory alive in honor of Bruce, also because Bruce was keeping his name and honor alive. Bilius Maximus, Republic War Wizard. Can't do the voice as good as Bruce, but I try as hard as I can.
My name is Bilius Maximus, Republican War Wizard at large and extraordinaire. That's just a few rules for D&D. This is a simple game. 4th graders play it. Don't overcomplicate it. You walk down the corridor. You find the monsters. Yes, find the monsters. Then you kill the monsters. Yes. You kill the monsters. You stomp on them and smash their heads. And then you take the treasure and you get the experience points. And then you continue on. This is not what you do. Okay, first off, we do this again. You walk down the corridor. You walk down the corridor, and then you find the monsters. You find them. Yes, you find the monsters. And then you kill the monsters. You kill them dead. Kill them. Yes. And you get the treasure, and you take the experience points, and you continue on. 4th graders play this game. It's a simple process. So, Bill was a good friend of mine. He died in 98. He received, according to the website for the Decatur Police Department, 37 individual hammer blows, or with a blunt instrument. He used to always keep a hammer and a few tools, leaning up against the wall by his front door. Somebody broke in his home one night, bludgeoned him to death. It was sad. He's a good friend of mine. And so we kept his memory alive, and I've kept it alive for years, and still miss Bill to this day. It'll be 30 years next year that he's been gone. No. My bad. Bad at math. 98. So 24 years essentially so far. Going on,
Yeah, 24.
Yeah. So we had Bilius Maximus. Go ahead, Garrett, with your story.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. And then my wife goes, and talk is Jade's Bilius. But no, the myself, my yeah, it is. It's true. The I would say the capstone of me throwing at players wasn't really something I did at high levels. It was actually something I did at low level, and I've talked about it several times. But it was when I ran the one and only time I ever ran Pathfinder 2, and I did not like how the module was going whatsoever. And so I let one player get a 50-50 shot on a color of a gem, and it turned blue. And they wound up going to the realm of the Fae and meeting Queen Nab with her with her knight, who was in a duster and a hockey stick.
Oh God.
Yes, the wizard the wizard and Dresden had a very interesting conversation about how to cast spells without verbal components. It was amazing. That interaction was just amazing. But yeah, I would say that was kind of the capstone of that entire thing. It was just because I tend to bring things in literature, things in books that I've read, like the current book that I'm reading right now. I would love to figure out an RPG I could do it with, but I don't think there's one out there because it's just kind of random. But people get essences, and then they get powers based on those essences. So, and then they can rank up the essences and whatnot. I'm still on the lookout for it, and if anyone has any suggestions, you guys can, you know how to get a hold of me. Just throw me suggestions and everything else, because that is something I'd actually really like to try out.
When you say essence, what do you mean? Like essence? They're
Okay,
able
so
to.
for instance, like a dark essence, uh, the character, one of the main characters, he has the dark essence, so he has night vision. He's got a cloak that will that he can actually that has starlight, pinpoints on it. He can actually darken it to basically put him in complete shadow so you can't see him, things along those lines. So it's you've got another one who's got like a power essence, even summon creatures. It's actually really interesting world, and I do and I'm really enjoying it. I'm book 3 of it, but yeah. So Cigar DM.
What book series is that?
Geez, you
One
had to put
moment.
them on the spot.
Yeah, you asked that, and my entire brain went.
You knew that was going to be the next question.
He who fights with monsters.
I'll have to see if I can find it on Audible and see if give it a listen.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it as well. And He Who Fights with
He
Monsters.
who
Okay.
fought, yeah, with the Audible little marker on the side.
Yeah, it's that's how
I'll
I'm.
see about.
That one's it's a four book series. It's actually pretty good.
I will, like I said, I'll see if I can listen to it and see about coming up with a game system that would apply.
I mean, I know I have a thought process only because I've been running 5e for the last almost a year now. There are feats in 5e that gives you those aspects that you're talking about, but you'd have to be willing to run 5e, and that's not going to happen.
No, the thing is that there are different levels. You level up, so you start out at iron rank. Then you go to bronze, then you go to silver, then you go to gold.
Yeah.
Then you go to diamond.
I need to listen to the book. I'll have to listen to the book myself.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I will say, Jade, you will love it because it is read by a gentleman with a very strong Australian accent.
I knew it. I knew it. Point for Ravenloft. Whatever.
Point for Griveldoff. I don't know. It's something. But Jade, what about you? What was your capstone as a player and as a DM? And you're muted.
Thank you for that. As a player, I've been trying to give it some thought. I'd say, man, capstone as a player. That's a tough one because I've had quite a few. I'd say, I'm going to reach back to, I think, the third game I was ever in where the characters got up to, I think it was like 40-something level. Yeah, this was 5 days. The character had received a wound to his face from a god-killing weapon. Now, this was in the days of like extreme power gaming, where I thought, I could build the most invulnerable character, the character that just could not be touched. How wrong I was, because the character that we were fighting against, we were supposed to run away from. We didn't know that at the time, and me being very young and very ignorant, decided that I was going to, stand my ground and fight, because I was a barbarian who had once been a monk in his early life, so he had all the fighting techniques, but all of the anger issues as well. And the wound he received from this character that was 15 or so levels higher than him, this was at like level 22 or 23 at the time, gave him a wound across his face that just would not heal. Unbeknownst to him, he somehow had taken the first step towards immortality. So it didn't kill him outright, but it left this wound that would blind him at least one eye, because it cut him from like eyebrow down to his cheekbone. And the capstone of that was my character finding a way to finally heal the wound, not through combat, but through role play. It was actually the first time a game master actually got me to think in a different direction other than combat. Again, I was a very young person. I was in my teens, hadn't even turned 20 yet. And to me, that forcing me to think differently about game really set me on the path of, the combat can be awesome, but it's not everything there is in the game. There's so much more. So that to me was like my best capstone, even though it wasn't even the end of the game. It was like the midpoint of the game at that point. Eventually became an immortal being, or a semi-divine being with no worshippers. Which the term that was used was a guardian of the elements. So that's my favorite capstone. As a game master, I think my favorite capstone was in that same game world. I had players fill slots of the immortal guardians, not invulnerable, but immortal guardians, in a future story. Because, like I said, it's the same game world. It just happened, I think, about 1,000 years later. More of the guardians had come to their end by one method or another, and the capstone was the players becoming guardians, not just through combat, but through non-combat actions. They finally realized what it meant to be a guardian of the element, to keep the world in balance, and not allowing I think it was the elements of fire, time, and space. Yeah, fire, time, and space to run rampant, because it would have consumed all of known reality within that star cluster. So yeah, that's my capstones.
All right. I guess Bruce, you want to go next?
Unmute. All right. So my capstone as a player, really, I think the game that my friend Chris just ended because mental breakdown, because he was running 2 campaigns, and that was why we were going every 3 weeks, because there was one campaign one weekend, and then the next weekend we do the other campaign, and it was neat, but I got to play basically a necromancer, and so I adapted my version, my horrible version of Skeletor.
I saw the fake.
And I got to play Skeletor, and I got to call the other players at the table boob. And, like, you boob, how dare you fail an important attack roll? Now he's going to hit me, and do things like that. And that was kind of fun. It was a stupid campaign. We were just, going out, taking over the world of Midgard, and the official world of Midgard, which is a craptastic world. I'm just going to lay it out there. Kobold Press could have rolled a really high 9 out of 10 with that campaign world, but I just fail to see the greatness of it. It's not nearly as soulless as the Critical Role campaign world, which I can't remember the name of it, but don't buy it, don't read it. You just imagine something better and write it down. It will be 30 times better than what Matt Mercer gave you. So you got to see Bruce play as a necromancer in that game, and I really enjoyed it because I dug out the old Libris Mortis necromancer, and I was only like 3 levels into it, and I was really enjoying the shit out of it. I was creating undead. Look at me go, Mom! And just having a ball. And one of the players, she was kind of the sultry evil Lynn types, and she kind of got the idea of what I wanted to do with that campaign, and we were just taking over the world one small province at a time, and like 10th, 11th level, we were being a problem, and paladins were starting to come after us. And the other party that we were playing, I was the only character in that group that was in both parties, but I was playing a paladin after my necromancer got yoinked away. the Marines steal it. The Marines yeeteth and the CBs yoinketh away. So I got yoinked out of one campaign, and then I had to create a paladin for the good guys, and we were chasing the bad guys around. And that was a lot of fun. That was just maybe less than 8 months ago. And I'm still waiting for Chris to start that campaign back up again. It was a lot of fun. Wasn't great because of the way it was written, but because Chris is a good DM. He's not stellar. He's like a 3.5 star out of 5, like me. He's pretty good. And most of the time we were hitting together, so we were able to run and play off that. As a dungeon master, my best moment, I'm going to go back to 2011 in May when I finished the Curse of the Crimson Throne campaign. Garrett was there for that, and the party was facing off against the evil queen that was possessed by a blue dragon, and she was doing everything she could to just whittle away the hit points of people. She was casting Disintegrate 2 times around because she was a special bard out of the Monty Cook Eldritch Might book, and she was just singing songs, just ripping open people, filleting them. The fighter would not fail a fortitude save at all. So it was a fun campaign, but the fighters and that campaign really made it stand out. Katrina was just a ball to play with because she embraced the rules, she got to know them, and then she had a fun character angle that she was going with. And whenever she started doing critical hits, she would start singing and dancing at the table. So it was kind of cute, you know. We got a cute, like, what, 18-year-old kid dancing at the table, like singing songs about how much blood she's spilling. How bad can that be?
I feel pretty, oh
Yeah.
so pretty.
Yes, I really enjoyed having that campaign and being able to actually end it a few days before I took my road trip to Texas to where I now reside. That will always probably have a real place in my heart because there's been other great campaigns I've ran as a DM, but that one there was the one that ended the way that you want to end. You don't want the players to die. You really don't. As much as I'm an adversarial DM and I am a dick to my players and I give them challenges, and if they can't beat them, they die. But at the same time, I set up the table to where here's some really nasty mofos that are working against you, and you have your own abilities, and I hope you win because you know what, the NPCs, when we finish this table, the NPCs aren't going to jump off the table and become real people and talk about how they killed the players. They're not going to hang out with me and give me bouts of schizophrenia and just tell me we need another table of players to kill. No, they don't do that. So you want to understand that the players, when you end a game, if the game ended right, that's the best that you're going to have because you're going to have situations where, like, Garrett will start walking and talking about how it was cool to finally eviscerate the queen of Varissia, and she's no longer able to ruin what could be a very prosperous nation. And they were able to instill order within the community because it had been taken from them. That entire campaign, the act of regicide at the very end is a perfect capstone to the adventure story later on. It takes them a few weeks, but the guard does get behind some good politicians. Good politicians help develop some good other leaders in neighborhoods, and they start to become a society to where they can still act and function. This all happens basically within the city of the capital city of Varissia, and it escapes my name, my mind at the moment. But the rest of the country doesn't give a shit. In fact, everything happens so fast. It's literally a campaign that you go from first to 20th level within like a 6-month period. And so the rest of the country is not affected by you, a 19 or 20-year-old person, that suddenly you got really cool real fast, and now you're a mover and shaker. It's a standard Pathfinder or Paizo thing, but for what it is, it's a lot of fun. Just understand it's not realistic, and most of us, we can understand that because it's a role-playing game. It's never going to be realistic.
Yeah, no one needs a Tom Hanks.
I actually think that we need to start showing that we need to start streaming that on our discords, and we need to start showing people the link to Mazes and Monsters, because I do want Condor DM and JSG to watch these movies and understand that we worry about their sanity. We don't want them to commit suicide or to be lost in the steam tunnel. Although it would be a funny story to share a beer about, I'm okay with that, and I'm okay with, like, okay, I don't want you to really get hurt. Just stop talking to kids about how the current edition is the only edition. That's all I care about. Go ahead, Jade. You gave the camera like a.
Yeah, I mean, 5e is not the only edition out there. Obviously, there's Chainmail, there's First Edition, Advanced D&D 3.5 or 3.0.
There's more than Dungeons and Dragons.
And yes, there is more than Dungeons and Dragons. There's also games that use the Fate system, the Powered by the Apocalypse, Chronicles of Darkness. There's so many different game systems out there, and I've read through about 15 of them at this point, and each of them are unique in some way. Like you've got the Modifius Conan the Barbarian, I think it is. It's 2D20 system. It's kind of unique. There are so many game systems out there, and a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, boo! You're not a purist. You're not playing just D&D." No, I don't play just D&D. I play all sorts of role-playing games. That is my passion. I play role-playing and tabletop games of all varieties. I don't really, stick to just one. D&D is my first, sure, but it's not necessarily the best and greatest one out there of all time. Each one of them has their strengths. Each one of them has their weaknesses. And some people have their favorite edition of whatever game it might be. I know there's some people out there who prefer, I think it's second edition, Vampire the Masquerade. And then you've got people out there who prefer, I think it's second edition of, maybe it's third edition of Exalted. There's so many different types of games out there. And if you're looking to play in a certain game or in a certain setting or world based on a book, a movie, a play, whatever the case might be, there's probably a system out there that fits what you're reading or what you're really into. So, I mean, you just have to, step outside the comfort zone of, being a strictly D&D or strictly Modifius, whatever it might be, player, and explore and read some of those other game systems.
Completely in the ballpark with you on that. I as much as I love 3X and all that, I really like Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. I really love the Star Wars D6 system.
We noticed.
There's more games than just that out there. And, I'm not against trying a new game that might be my new replacement.
I guess I should answer my own question. See, it's a weird thing for me because a lot of the campaigns I'm in or I have been in, they don't always make it to the end because life happens. We moved, DM moved. Somebody got married. Someone had a kid. I had a kid and still gained. What are you guys' fucking excuse? That's, but that's just me. So for my capstone, I mean, the three ones that really, really stick out to me is the last session of not so much Wrath of Righteous. I didn't exactly care for the ending of that. It was not because of DM. It was just because of the module. It shit the bed right before the credits hit. It was like watching the last episode of Game of Thrones. Just don't do it, people. And that's my opinion. Once again, I'm not throwing shade at the DM. It was just the module. I'm not, But there's this one, and I've told the story before, where we're fighting, 3-4 legendary dragons, and we had a table full of people, and everybody was in it. Everybody was involved in it. I mean, even the showboat of the party, which amazing enough wasn't me, was actually kind of put in his place at the end of the night. And it was amazing. So the capstone for me, for at least as a player, is my character sees a legendary dragon. He knows that he might die, but he can do a hell of a lot of damage. He shoots cannonballs out of his guns if I become large, and there's there's a bunch of little things that add up. So I directly fly right into that dragon's mouth, and because my character was cursed, every time he committed suicide, he came back to life. But because we're at this level, I, like a phoenix, once I die, I blow up, come back from ashes, and reincarnated, or not reincarnated. I just come back like a phoenix. I fly into the dragon's mouth. I pull the trigger. I blow up, blowing the dragon's head right off the body. I mean, not blowing my own horn, but that's pretty damn cool. I just the image, your mental image of that is pretty damn sexy. And coming back,
in fairness, the dragon that you did that to was at under 100 hit points, and the minimum damage
this is
you
my
could do
story.
with that
My
was
story. My
200.
story, damn. My story. My story. Damn it. But that's the thing with Dungeons and Dragons and now the other sessions. There is what is, and then the story that we tell each other. Because that's how fantasy works. But yeah, the dragon was not having a good day. He was under X amount of hit points. What I did solved a problem. But the mental image of it is still pretty damn cool. And me coming out, coming back to that, doing the whole, what Robin Williams from Aladdin, ooh wee, cranking a neck, just joking around with it. But yeah, so I don't like tooting my own horn. Just I can, but I don't. But that's besides the point. Bang, shub, boom, boom. But as a DM, I haven't got there yet. I haven't had a campaign that fully has come to the capstone end. I can't wait for it to happen. I have ideas that I wanted. In the off chance that anybody's watching for my Monday campaign, because I sent them the link for this, I'm not going to say what happens. But at the same time, I would love to see how this works out. And the bad guy in the very back end of the book, A Rise of Rune Lord, I keep picturing him because of a fucked up sense of humor having the Herbert voice off of Family Guy. Ooh, just that really weird, crusty old perverted guy. That's gonna be my capstone, at least for this campaign. I can't wait to have other campaigns I've ran where I've had other, more stories than just that one. Yeah, that's the bastard. Oh gosh, but gosh, these fighters came up and smacked me, and I smacked them with a spell. Ooh wee. That's just how my head's working. But so that answers my own question as best as I can. Yes, Jade was my DM. Yes, the dragon was in lower hit points, but damn it, it's my story and I'm sticking to it.
In fairness, that was the Ashen Nephos dragon from Iron Kingdoms Monsternomicon, but it was the 3.0 version, not the 3.5, where it was a CR 40 something.
No, if I'm picturing an older Bruce, it's going to be the Sicilian from Princess Bride. Inconceivable.
No, I see more as Miracle Max. Have fun storming the castle.
You think they have a chance? No, take a miracle. So I think we're moving on to the next topic. I think we've plunged the hell of this toilet. So I think we're talking about character crafting and multi-leveling and where we stand on it. Multi-classing.
All right. Well, this is a topic that I think. Wow. Thank you, Parrot Head. Thank you. All right. So this topic here, I want to discuss. I want to lead into this because we've had friends that they have problems with post second edition TSR games, and when I say that, the majority of those games are 3x and 4x and 5x, which not many people will still talk about the greatness of fourth edition. Wait for it. Somebody will say, "But it made great board games." That's great. Happy for you. Um, Not that they're bad games. The board games were literally the thing that the store owners, the store staff, everybody talked about. Yeah, it's actually kind of fun. But
The best thing about 4.0 was the board games, not because of the game, because all the miniatures you got out of the board, out of the box. It made the price worth it.
well, I'm just going to say that you know anything after second edition D&D, a lot of people just don't like because they have a different mindset for when you start creating Darren P. They have a different mindset for creating a character because when you first roll up a character in BX or first edition, you are a character and you're going to stay that class 90% of the time until you die or the campaign ends or the DM moves or he gets a new girlfriend or you decide, fuck this, I've got better shit to do on Saturdays. You go over to somebody running like legendary journeys or something, but you have an idea that you create this character and that's your character. That's it. And post second edition, and I'm going to go to WotC first edition and beyond. They had a mechanic where you would start to add in classes as you level up, and then they had an idea in 3.0 to do this thing called prestige classes, where you could be a cool character, but you were a little bit more seasoned, and you had these requirements you had to have before you could start your career as this new individual, but you would eventually get something really cool at the 5 or 10th level of this prestige class, and it would make it worth it versus going up 20 levels as a single class character. Now, our friend Max from Legion of Myth says he hates the Lego character building system because I do 2 levels of this fighter build, and then I do a level of this rogue build, and then I do a couple levels of wizard, and then I go back to fighter, and bam, I turn into an arcane archer with evasion. And he complains about that, which is completely his prerogative. A lot of people don't embrace that nature of the character design game. But the character design game for 3X, excuse me, for first edition WotC and beyond is completely part of the experience of the game. So you are encouraged to discover what works at your table. You can try to use pre-made builds and convince your DM you need to have this type of character, but it would be much more enjoyable 90% of the time for you to play in a game and just kind of follow what the story drink is going to have you do. Because sometimes a DM doesn't want to pause a game for a few weeks while you learn a new class or you have a lull and you have to find a mentor. The DM has his own idea of how things are going to go on. So this is going to work kind of as a narrative thing, but we need to discuss this because this just didn't end in first edition WotC. This continued on, and it's in 3E WotC right now. And there's people that are arguing about it right now in the Western Hemisphere at a game store, maybe near you, about how they can just. I need a few levels of Bard. So
Or or
I
you have the crazy person that just decides, okay, I'm going to take this squirrel and I'm going to put every template I can on it.
don't tempt me.
No, it's already been done.
No, no, no,
Friend,
no. I could create a more deadly squirrel.
You're all nuts.
no, that's the breath weapon.
Nuts?
Nuts are the breath
Acorns.
weapon.
I
Acorn.
figured that was more of an inhale weapon.
Acorn breath. And then he does a grab attack where you're stuffing in his mouth and as a free action, he swallows.
Hey, bang, shaboom, boom.
There is a squirrel from 3.5. It was called a Skirid, and it would actually do strength damage as a cone weapon or cone breath attack.
Oh boy.
It was only a eighth or quarter CR creature too. You send 20 of those at a party, and you're bound to fail at least one of those saves. 20 saves, on average, based on the laws of averages, you're going to roll, a 1 or a 2 at least once.
Hey Shadow, I was thinking it. I just didn't go there. And you can find them at the Strippers Guild.
Near you.
So
We got the extra.
Garrett, what do you think about? And I'm going to call this character theory, because the character theory of First Ed WotC and the subsequent games that have followed out since has kind of permeated part of the industry. What do you think of it? I want to fuck this pig.
So I mean, the thing is that it as a DM you have to draw the line. So if they're going to do, like, especially if you're going to wind up taking this into higher levels, it would make sense. So like, for instance, if you're going to take it into epic levels and, above and beyond 20, then, prestige classing out to me makes more sense, because, that way, once you hit that 20th level, you're supposed to get these awesome new abilities and do things. But starting to do that at like 10th level, or even like 7th or 8th level with some of them, you've got either a 5 or 10 level run of these, and then you're done with it, and it's like, okay, because I've actually seen someone who has actually gone, did like a 7 level of a class that allowed them to prestige, to do a 3 level prestige class, and then turn around and do a 5 level prestige class. And they take like 3 or 4 prestige classes back to back. It's like, at that point, it really does lose the luster of what this prestige class is. So, I mean, I could, now on the other side of that, I could see where multi-classing could come in handy. For instance, if for some reason somebody didn't make a cleric or a druid as a heal for the heal bot for the party, this has happened before, and we definitely want to be able to, even if it's a little bit, fill that role, where they can actually, administer healing or something like that. Or, maybe they just need something, really cool, because, they're a mage and they're wanting to go Mystic Theurge. They've got to start collecting that additional divine power to be able to go there. On something like that, where, to me, if you're doing prestige, that should be 20 level up, because then that makes more sense, just for the simple fact of, you've hit the max, you've hit the ceiling. Now we get to see what more we can do, especially if you're going into an epic level game. I know there are a few people who are sitting in this chat right now who have gone to extreme epic levels, level 40, level 50. It's that guy and that guy. And, but and at what point is it like, okay, trying to sort through the different splat books, stuff like that, to figure out how can I keep leveling in my class? Then you can just switch over to do the actual prestige classing, because yes, that is where everything gets unlocked, in my opinion.
Who was that?
That was
Never.
pretty is what it did.
What?
That sounded like a pretty engine.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a motorcycle that is, it is pretty damn sexy. Unlike somebody's former Mustang, which was really sexy.
Yeah, that was a nice car.
Anyway, sorry about that, Baron. I had no
it's
control over my
fine.
neighbors.
No, you're fine. I was actually done. So, what about you boys?
I actually kind of get long-winded with this one. So, Jay, do you want to go next?
I can also get long-winded, but yeah, I can go. So as far as multi-classing goes, or going into prestige classes, to me, prestige classes are meant for, this is for the 3.5 and Pathfinder players mostly. Prestige classes are meant to give you unique but very specified abilities. They're very hyper focused classes. So if you're, let's say, I don't know, battling the powers of evil, demons, outsiders, or whatnot, you want to probably pick up a class, a prestige class that does more damage to outsiders. You want to hyper focus that. If you're playing a cleric that's supposed to be mostly just healing the party and preventing damage, you'll want to go down a path that allows you to do that even better, or to a greater extent, to enhance those abilities. So to me, prestige classes are there to give you hyper focus, to give you a very direct path to follow. Whereas multi-classing, it kind of does this quite a bit, where he'll pick up 3, sometimes 4 different classes, all before level 10. And to me, multi-classing is almost unimportant in Pathfinder, especially because the powers of the higher levels of play in specific class paths can get very powerful and very potent. So multi-classing kind of bars you from some of those powers, because you'll never, like, if you're a 5th level rogue, a 5th level fighter, and a 5th level, I don't know, sorcerer, what do you fill those last 5 levels with? You're never going to get to the capstone ability of any of the classes, the level 20 ability. And like I said, that's Pathfinder specifically. So to me, multi-classing is kind of a waste in a way, unless that's what archetypes to me are for. If you're going to play, if you want to play a rogue fighter build, pick an archetype of either rogue or fighter that gives you kind of a little bit of both worlds. Play the cat or something. If you're wanting to play like a I don't know, a druid sorcerer, you'll want to pick up a prestige class or a druid archetype, like Halcyon. The Halcyon druid allows you to take arcane spells and divine spells. So that's what the archetypes are for, and prestige classes are for. But multi-classing to me is just not really worth it, because you get kind of the worst deal. Because unless you're doing it for very, very specific reasons to get into a prestige class to begin with, there's just no point to it to me.
Now with that also, we can actually, and I'll get this before the Cigar DM gets out there, because then the other thing you also want to look at is when you're playing in a Gestalt campaign, where you're actually parallel running two of them and taking the best of the saves and the best of everything. So that's another thing to that I think we can go into after the Cigar DM gets done with his
Sure.
rant.
Yeah, because Gestalt is something entirely different.
Oh yeah,
That's
but I mean,
cool.
it also feeds into this too.
It
does.
does. It really does. And maybe if I had a better DM that was trying to do that nonsense, I wouldn't have left such a bad taste in my mouth. I like multi-classing, as Jade so eloquently put. I don't, when I'm building a character, I'm not. I am a creature from 3.5. I'm looking at numbers. I'm trying to get away from that as I'm becoming an older gamer. But I've started in 3.5, where the only thing that mattered on your sheet was how much points can you add with that die roll. And that's a horrible way to game. It really is. And I'm doing my best to break the habit. With me and multi-classing is I'm looking at the character now. I still multi-class. I like multi-classing because I don't see a character as just one thing. I've used the argument before with Conan the Barbarian. Conan the Barbarian just wasn't one thing. He was a rogue, he was a fighter, he was a ranger, he was all these different things that made him a character. Now, if I'm taking 2 levels of rogue for evasion, that's just me getting tired of having somebody in my party say, I'm gonna cast fireball every other round until I run out of spells, and I don't care if anybody's next to me. Thank you, Jennifer. Um, so I do multi-class because I look at the complexity of the character I want to build. Yes, does it bite me in the ass in the end? Do I not hit that capstone? Yes, but as long as I think the juice is worth the squeeze, I will do it. And if you have a DM that doesn't let you use the archetypes, but you want to do what Jay just said, you have to find ways around it. Now, I think there is I'm guilty of this. God, am I guilty of this? And I am so guilty of this. I think wizards, if you want to be a wizard, have multi-class with a wizard, wizard has to be your first level because of the schooling, especially in Pathfinder in the older editions. I don't think you could just honestly, hey, I'm going to be fighter for 1 through X, then I'm going to hop into wizard. But then you have to go to school. Don't you have to learn these wizarding things? Have to go through all this and that? No, I'm just going to level into it. That doesn't work, and I'm so guilty of doing it because I want to play arcane. I want to play an arcane archer, and the way to do this is you have to be able to cast spells. And I hate the sorcery. I hate sorcery. I a sorcerer class. I absolutely hate it. I've tried to play it a handful of times, and I just can't. I just can't make it work. And so I don't play it. I really don't like playing a wizard because I don't like the paperwork. But wizards do have a couple spells for my fighter class that are really fucking useful. A gravity bow being one of them. So, yes, am I guilty of this? Yes, I am. But my reasons to me are still sound. Should the DM pull rank and say, no, you can't do this because of this or that? That is his prerogative, and I will not fight with the DM too much about it. Will I pull him aside after game and try to explain my case? Sure. But at the same time, what the DM says goes. So I am for multi-classing as long as it makes sense to the character that you're playing. If you're just doing this because I need extra points on my dice roll so I can do extra more damage, then you're just being a schmuck. And over the years, I was a schmuck. I will admit to that. But I rather multi-class than play Lestat or whatever the wordage. I'm messing up on the wordage.
I mean, I think we were all power gamers at one point or another.
We stopped? Wait, we stopped?
Well, I mean, I'm trying to break the habit. I'm trying to not power game. I mean, I can't help but think in those terms half the time. Like, when someone goes, "Hey, what do you think of this character?" and I'm like, "Well, if you're trying to maximize this, or this, you're gonna want to go that path. If you're trying to go, this direction with it, I would recommend this." I mean, I still think in those directions, but at the same time, I'm trying to like I was asked to be part of a game one time, and I was just so bored with D&D as a whole that I said, "All right, yeah, sure. What kind of what's the setup?" And they explained to me, "All right, it's Gestalt. Oh, okay. I'll play a warrior adept." What, NPC classes? Yes, because I'm that bored with D&D as a whole and power gaming as a whole. So yeah. Anyway, Bruce, go ahead.
I use the first edition WotC stuff, but I like to keep it basic for my games because I really don't want the players to try to make the process of becoming a powerful character such a study that they lose sight of what the campaign's about. I don't want that. Even if we're running Repana Thuck, I don't want to do that. I want the players to focus on the fun aspect of the game. And while killing monsters and getting experience points is definitely part of the fun, um, occasionally you have to get your butt beat. Occasionally you have to have a moment where you get schooled. And to learn a prestige class is one thing. To learn some new way to beat a determined foe is great, but you need to have a a moment when you're setting a narrative to where these players can see themselves in a training montage with the most upbeat 80s music possible while they learn their new skills. And you say about 4 weeks will pass while you're learning how to be this class now. You need to do that. And for basic character work, like the game that I'm running right now with Shadow and Son and Connell, they're involved in the game to where I kind of have them up against a wall and I'm pushing them to make choices because they're working against two separate armies that are doing their level best to enslave them. And so I'm really having fun with this because I'm trying to make it to where the players are going to be thrust decision after decision after decision, and they don't have all the time in the world to armchair quarterback it. They can do that later, but they're not able to really just like, well, let's think about this for a minute. No, you've got hundreds of people that are relying on you to make a decision and to get an emotion. We need to do that. And so I don't really like doing multi-classing because, in my viewpoint, when you multi-class, you're taking out time from the campaign to learn a new skill. You're taking out time from everybody else. I've got to learn how to cast divine spells. You have to do that. And so you don't want to bring it to a point where suddenly your game is crawling when the growing season is there. You want the players to be part of that flow. You want them to be able to interact and do things as they're getting better at doing what they do best. That's my own opinion. I'm not a big fan of multi-classing. I like the idea theories behind it, but I don't agree with the result. Does that make sense?
And it makes a great deal of sense. And like I said, there hasn't, I do multi-class and I like, well, in epic levels I've been in where we're at 75, we cap out at 75 in one campaign and 50 in the other. Scott's game, we were at level 75 when the game ended.
When you're playing a game that's
No, it was higher. Was it that? I thought it was that high. You're muted.
Jade, you're muted.
No, the max level of any other one of those games was level 47. I still have the character sheet sitting around.
Okay, it felt like it was higher level. But, I came in a scout. This is 3.5. So it was a scout, warlock, something. Now, war mage, something. Fort Scott's game.
Yeah,
I think if a player is bringing in a character to a campaign that's already been going, that's one thing, Bruce. But if we're starting first level, it's a different argument.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I jumped into your campaign at level 3, 4.
Yeah.
So my character can have a little bit of a background where he's an archer, but he has rogue levels because of a bad youth or whatever.
Okay.
I think character stories, the individual story of a character is also important in gameplay because it's what drives that character. I know I said the story. You know, if I could Grubhub you alcohol there, Jade, I'd have you send me some beer because we all know you make more money than I do. Uh, but I think it should be, as I said, it should be up to the DM and the players what is allowed and not allowed. If you want players just to pick one class and stick with it until game ends, that's your call as a DM. You might get some kerfuffles. You might get some kerfuffles from me, but at the end of the day, I'd rather be at that table than not be at that table. And you know, if Jade ever has a game where he's inviting me to, and he's doing okay, the game is more about characters than numbers. I'm going to have to change my way of thinking, and that's fine with me. But that's growing as a player.
Okay.
And Bruce disagrees, but that's okay.
Okay. I mean, I'm not. It's not my forte. I'll just say that. We're calling it character theory. There's some people that call it Lego character work. I just understand that this is something that's happened after second edition.
Oh, with 3.5, man, they pumped out so many books. Paizo is just as guilty. But they
Yep.
pumped out, you know, I used to joke, I don't need 35 books to make one character, but it's kind of cool. I have 35 books to make my character.
I'd rather you not.
I'm taking some of this from Race for the Wild and become a knife master. I'm taking a little bit of this from this. Now I want to find a way to use this with Arcane Archer. Instead of shooting arrows, can I use it as with knives? No, but why not? It says ranged weapons. Knives are not.
Arcane Archer.
I know.
No.
It
See,
says specifically bow.
yeah. So what you want is the bow from the D&D cartoon.
Not really, because all that did was shoot magic missiles, and that's a 1v4.
No. You need to read the description on that. It's an elemental bow. It's any element that you pull back and you think of.
Oh, hey Bruce.
It's also 12 grand and a legendary epic weapon.
I tell you what, though, I've been given the option my current character has been given the option in Bruce's campaign where he can walk because of the shenanigans that happened this past week. I died 3 times. My character died literally 3 damn times. First time he came back as a halfling, then a freaking Cyclops blasted with his eye beam. I became Yamcha this past weekend session. Then I came back as a troglodyte. Then the whole town killed me because we can't have one of those in our town. Then I think the current one is an elf.
Wait, hold on. Janet, I will get with you this weekend on what we were talking about, and we'll get that all set up. Yes, you can't make your own characters. You have to have books to do it.
Well, I have comic books, and I get in trouble for that.
Okay, so yeah, there's a selection process. You get options, and you pick out this race, and then you pick out your class, and then you get an idea of what you want to do, and like here's the other options over here, and the chat will. I'm waiting for the chat to just start storming like, Janet, talk to me in the DMs, Janet, and if you,
I'm the only legit one that gets to do. I'm the only legit one that's got to do it because I'm going to be helping her with something.
Yeah, well, she's
the rest of them can fuck off the bridge with what's his face.
With Dan.
With Dan, yeah, Dan, that motherfucker. Okay.
But no, I'm pretty certain. Like, if you thought you had a lot of friends before, wait, you're going to have a lot more friends now, Janet. And she's going to be quite popular. You can play my game. You can play my game. It's
yes.
There's reasons why I love having her on my Monday night streams.
There are some thirsty characters out there. There are some thirsty players.
And I do believe that Bruce is called Dibs. So
What? She's we're
You're good friends. You call dibs and she joins your game before anybody else's. This is how this works. That is the rule of dibs. Did you not read the rule book to know what the rule of dibs was?
I did not read the rule book for how dibs works. I was thinking anyway.
Yeah, get your mind out of the '80s movie gutter.
Apparently, neither one of us did there in our early, about 12 years ago. There, Bruce.
Yeah, we did that.
But she lives in Portland. May her and her husband both be happy, and he can rot in hell.
If I take my glasses off, I can't see any of this happening. I have plausible deniability.
You can fuck off the bridge with Dan there, Nick.
Damn. There's some time in that one. There's some time in that salt. Okay, so yeah. One of these days,
Okay.
Janet.
The thing with multi-classing, I have a little bit more. I think there's a little bit more I want to say if it's cool with everybody.
No.
Okay.
I said go ahead.
What would be the okay multi-classing if you're going to allow multi-classing in your campaign? Where's the line? What would you be okay with as a DM?
It's got to fit what's going on in the campaign. That's how I figure it would go for anybody. It would go for any individual that's running a game that has multi-classing available, and this is going to be a post first edition WotC version because it doesn't happen in second and first edition TSR.
Janet, you stay.
No, chat. Janet, you can stick around in here and please interact with our friends and I'm going to tell you that if you want to learn how to play, you trust me, before the year is over, you'll be addicted to the hobby like the rest of us.
There was this picture I saw at Game Shop. It says, teach your kids how to play RPG games when they're young because they'll be too broke to buy drugs when they're older.
Very true.
True story.
Yeah, if you teach your child now to play Dungeons and Dragons, he'll never have the inclination to want to do China White heroin. He'll be too stressed out about his spell selections, and he'll be not wanting to hang out with Hunter Biden and go do cocaine and hookers and impregnate strippers. He'll be wanting to play D&D or some other game system, Traveler or GURPS or whatever it is. He's going to be involved with it, and he's going to be like, man, I want to play. Like, when can we sit down for at least 6 hours? I need a 6-hour game, not a measly 4-hour game, guys. 4 hours is for amateurs and tournament players. I need an actual game, a campaign, an overarching goal. Come on, give it to me, please.
If I could have more game sessions like the way we did this past Saturday with 9 plus hours, I'm a happy person.
That was a really good campaign day. I really love having Joe in our game, but he's in a very different time zone, and I try to abide by his need for him to, turn into a pumpkin, which is still in our window of the sun's still out in Texas. It's like
the problem
saying like, hey, dude, it's like 1 o'clock over here. I need to go.
Yeah.
So we don't really set a timer. We try to stay. We try to say like, okay, be in chat at 12:30. That way we can start by 2 because all of you are verbally constipated until we start talking. And then we got to talk for 90 minutes about non-game. Okay, we can go live. We got to talk more about what you players are wanting to do. Not what you're wanting to do with your characters, but what you want to do. What all happened?
Well, as I've said before in this stream and others, D&D and all these other games that we play is 80% game, 20% social hour.
Oh God, I wish it was
No, I
that
think you
ratio.
have that reversed.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to stay, somewhat, professional on this one. And for the time limit, yes. When I run on game shops, most society for Pathfinder and Adventure League for D&D does have a max amount of hours that you can run your campaign. It's anywhere from 4 to 5, which I don't think you really get anything done with that time period. That's strange. I mean, unless you have a DM that can really push the storyline, it's hard, especially when you got kids coming out of school, or they just left school and they want to talk about how their day was. We can move on, guys. I mean, I knew this the multi.
No. I want to get in the weeds on multi-classing because I'm okay with it if it fits the campaign. Right now, the way you guys are playing, you're trying to fight a war on two fronts. You guys probably won't have the chances to multi-class so much. That's for my table that I'm running right now.
And that's fine.
Saturday. But things could change. And say, like, if a Sunday opens up and I create some characters because I'm wanting to test out my system, and I've got a few players that I would open up. Okay, here's the characters I have available. Here's what I rolled up for you. I know this isn't how you want to play, but I'm trying a new system, and I think it's going to work a little smoother for me. I'd like you to try it with me. And if we play for 5 or 6 hours on a Sunday, that would be fantastic. Fantastic. Fantastico. And we try a new thing. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, well, it'll be like 98% of all the games started in the last 5 years. Oh, we played 5e. Well, actually, we just played 4 games and the campaign ended. We stopped.
See, I don't have that problem with my group when I'm playing 5e.
But
It's not 5 sessions and we're done. And maybe I'm just lucky as a DM that actually have a fairly good group.
No, I'm going to tell you what it is right now. And chat, you can disagree with me if you want, because if you don't agree with me, you don't have to. But I'm going to tell you that Connell is running the most often ran campaign since 2006. He's running the campaign called Rise of the Rune Lords. Paizo sold so much of Rise of the Rune Lords that they made a hardcover to bring it back, like a good time Charlie. Hey guys, look at this brand new shiny hardcover with new art. It's Rise of the Rune Lords. Are you ready to play it again with a new character? We have new hardcovers to build your characters with, so you can try something new. We have designed it from the ground up and spiced it with new classes and feats and skill and options. Oh my!
I don't know where the book is. Bro, fucking show the anniversary version I have.
Then Paizo says, "Oh, Savage Worlds, you're doing a Pathfinder version in your system? Oh, we're gonna make an adventure for it based on our best-selling property ever, Rise of the Rune Lords." And then somebody at Paizo or some designer says, "Hey Paizo, I'm going to make a card game based on the Pathfinder RPG." Oh, that's great. We have this campaign, Rise of the Rune Lords. We're gonna make this the premier card game. So this Rise of the Rune Lords, the only thing that Rise of the Rune Lords has not done, has been on more systems than Skyrim. Skyrim is the only thing you'll find more varieties of to say Fosturo versus killing Karzog in any version of the tabletop game possible. I guarantee you.
I'm also running it through the 5e engine and
you're running the 5e version, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm pretty certain that with this time-tested campaign, that any player worth their salt will be jumping on this like Oprah Winfrey, hungry for a snack mid-afternoon, and a ding-dong is rolling precariously towards the back end of the refrigerator where she can't squeeze her fat arm between the refrigerator and the countertop. Don't let the ding-dong get away, Oprah! They want a good game. Players want a great game. Rise of the Rune Lords has not been eclipsed in the past 16 or 17 years. You have a campaign that has been written for more systems than almost any other system out there, than any other campaign or adventure out there. You have people trying to resurrect Spelljammer and Dragonlance because you can hear the people angrily typing, retyping a second edition. We have to do Dragons of Autumn Twilight 5e version. We'll do another Railroad just like the second edition version and let the players mimic story characters from a 30-year-old novel that they don't want to read now. And it won't sell where the fuck. But you have Paizo. Oh, let me see that game engine. We'll write Rise of the Rune Lords for it. And they write it, and it comes out smelling like a rose. You know, I'm not upset. It's a great campaign. I ran it. My channel was birthed on that campaign in book 4 of 6. So I'm not upset, and I'm not jealous. I'm proud of Paizo for doing something that everybody liked and wrapped their arms around it. So I was happy. And it still brings me joy to this day because when I need to gross somebody out, I read the third book of that series about players stumble into a farmhouse which has been raided by ogres, and the ogres are doing the hills have eyes sorts of things to each other and a little bit of deliverance to each other. And the players are stumbling in here, not even certain what the fuck is going on. They're like, hey, is there some experience points and treasure in here? Knock, knock. And the ogre's like, somebody's at the door. I have a heart on. And it goes downhill from there for the players.
For the DM, he normally gets a pretty good chuckle.
Oh, it's a great chuckle. So I think the game you're running, if you're going to run it in 5e, no matter if you're going to run it from 5e or first edition Dungeons and Dragons by TSR, if you're going to run it in the Suede, the Savage Worlds Adventure Design Engine, if you're going to run it in Rifts or Palladium, if you're going to do things, I'm going to tell you, you want to succeed, Connell, no matter what engine you're playing. If you run Rise of the Rune Lords and you can be half-ass confident with your die rolls and with your ability to keep the players engaged at the table, you will have a full table, be it 4 or 6 or 8 people. You're going to have it. But you have to run it, you have to read it first, and you have to understand the motivations as why would players want to be involved here.
Right.
And once you get that, there you go.
Now, on the whole Rise of the Rune Lord concept, there are classes I don't allow in it. And thank God 5e does have a variation of Gunslinger, but it's not in the hard book as of yet, so I don't have to allow it.
So are you just saying no? Like old crusty grognard DMs say, no, can't play that character here?
No arcane archers, no artificers, and no blood knights. No, there's a few of them just get a hard no. And I don't care if you can make a summoner in fifth edition. No.
And for those of you that don't understand what we're talking about, there are certain character classes that just have certain abilities that don't fit the theme of the game. They won't fit the theme, requiring heroes that are willing to triumph over insurmountable numbers and odds and have a deck stacked against them. So that's why you would want to say no to things. Now, if you're running Rise of the Rune Lords and you're even if you're playing it in Traveler system, which was the wrong tool for the job, and I love Traveler, I do, but you don't play high fantasy with Traveler. Is it
I gotta
possible?
check out
Yeah.
Traveler.
But you can find a better fit for a game than Traveler if you're running like a high fantasy saga like that. If I was running something by Roger Zeleny, like from or something from Cyberpunk, Traveler would fit the bill perfectly because Traveler is a very small bare bones system, and you can just pretty much add stuff on the fly, put equipment on an index card. You find this, you find this. Here's your treasure. You know, you get these bits of hardware, and you can put them into you can install it in your nav computer, and it gives you new jump coordinates. You can meet new people, and they give you new jobs. You can have fun. I think that's cool. I think that slim design that Traveler has for the GM, I think that slim amount of rules is perfect for that type of game because you get to role play.
But
That's
even
why
with
I'm going to interrupt you, cigar. That's why Jaide plays Index Card RPG, and I'll shut up now.
yeah, that's another game. That's another system I have to. He sent me something I need to read. I've read it once already, but Pathfinder and 3.5 in Pathfinder, I believe, was meant for multi-classing for the nature of of what they are. Not every system works well with multi-classing.
No, it doesn't. And you should be all right with that. Darren P, perfect example, 924. If you're the DM, you don't have to allow anything. That's
Yeah.
how you should be. I mean, you should be having already, discussions with the players when you're picking up dice and pencils, getting ready to write the character down. Uh, Make sure that the player is on the same page as the DM. That's my advice. Hey, soy based Jeremy, how you doing? I didn't mean to rant for so long.
No, we don't have a Kai here, so ranting needs to happen from somebody.
Yeah, exactly. Fogarthun. Index Card RPG is great for one-shot games.
I'm going to respectfully disagree with that. I've got an entire multi-night campaign planned for Index Card RPG.
Well, no, Index Card RPG, he might not have played it as a multi-night game, a multi-session game.
That's fair.
And for to demonstrate a strength of a game, if you don't have time, one shots are all you have.
Oh God, yeah.
That's very fair.
When my kids come and visit me from Indiana, and they're only here for maybe a week or two, all I do is one-shot games with them, and they like it. I mean, or if it's a holiday or something, and 2/3 of your table can't show up, but you still have enough people to run something, one-shot it. I mean, 3.5 came out with this great card game called Three Dragon Annie, where tonight, for those who showed up, you're all at the tavern. What are we doing, tavern? Well, there's a poker tournament happening. Who wants to jump in?
All right. Violence Solves Everything says something that I hear a lot. And people that don't really appreciate post DSR D&D have this opinion typically where they don't like multi-classing. They want to have you grow as a character from the start. And that kind of that is a valid point. And I'm going to explain to you that we do that in other games, just not the way you're thinking of, because I'll throw out there Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, where when you start the game, you don't get to choose anything except your race. You choose your race. You roll your stats based on your race. And then you roll what character class you are, or what's your current career. Now, I'm going to take you back when you were like 12 or 16 years old, and you didn't get a chance to pick your job you wanted to be. You want to be an electrician, but you're 16 and you're still in high school. So you can't be an electrician. You have to be a fry flipper on Fridays or Saturdays or Sundays. Or you have to be a corn detasseler. I did that. That's how I got my Commodore. You have to do these things that build your character so you can learn how to have proper discipline so you can endeavor to greater things later on. Now, I'll just go into some game terms for you. And fantasy role play for Warhammer, when you acquire all the skills within that subset, that little sub career for being a, say you roll up a rat catcher. You're a rat catcher. You live in a city. You are tasked by the union every day to go out and find rats with your dog, and you turn in rats, and you get pretty good money for this. This is a livable wage. You get enough money to where you can drink if you want to. After work, you can afford a small little apartment by yourself. You have a extravagant floppy hat you can wear, and you have a couple clothing choices. You have this pair of not so great clothing, and you have that pair of not so great clothing. You have this black outfit you can wear, but you typically just are kind of dressed like Rey from the Star Wars movies. But you at least earn money, and when you start getting good in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, you get your skills that will eventually help you shape your characteristics, your ability scores, and then you can class into another career. You can choose, and then you make your experience points spent, and then you are now a new class. So we do that in our real world, and this game kind of took it from that, from real life expertise, where we don't get to start off as, best-selling novelists or, Wolfman Jack DJ. We start off as fry flippers and porn detasselers, and we have entry level jobs. And Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay does that. And you just kind of change that as time goes on. You evolve, you get better, or you die because you're fighting against the agents of chaos or maybe something else, some other faction. But in D&D, in the basic game, you only had 3 dice 6. So you might want to play a wizard, but you rolled a 9 for intelligence. Sorry, pal. But you're gonna try to get better. You can't. You're stuck with your cleric because you rolled a 15 wisdom, and you might not last a 4th or 5th level. But the thing is that style of game, they've kind of shifted with time, and the world's most popular RPG has kind of adapted that from Warhammer and other superior games to where you can, as time goes on, shape your character based on classes and choices. Now, you specifically don't have to play that, and if you don't want to, that's great. But there's a group of people out there that they want to play a game that is class and skill heavy, and that's the majority of people that play 3E and 5E right now, because those two games are disguised as class-based games, but they rely heavily on their skills. And a lot more die rolls based on your skills and what your class is. And then you have the combat system, which is as clunky as it's ever been since 74. It has not really changed much, but it's failed. He says it's failed to adapt the options from those types of games because it's still a class level game. Listen, different DMs will show you, and numerous DMs are out there where they do play a more organic game. I'm not totally immune to running organic games. I think they're great. But there are some times where you want to run a campaign that we don't multi-class. That's just every individual table. It sounds like really there's maybe you want to play RuneQuest from Chaosium, which is still a great viable game. Anyway, now that I've said that, anybody else want to jump on that, or did I cover your bases?
I think you covered it, you smothered it, and it's ready to be served at any Waffle House in the U.S.
God, I miss Waffle House.
I need to buy bacon. Thanks for
Or Mary Ann's down in Champaign. Oh my God, talk about smothered pancakes. Mm-hmm.
No, and if you want to play basic or first or second edition TSR D&D, that's great. I hope you get to play it. I really do. There's people in our chat that want to play. In fact, we are all members of a Discord server, and you guys that are looking for a game, you should jump on that opportunity and say, "Listen, I want to run a game. Here's a day. Here's a time. Here's how much time we're going to spend playing. Anybody interested?" There's no reason why we should just be talking about games. For crying out loud, you guys want to play games, play them. Hi, Stone
No.
Cold. How you doing?
So yeah, I think we pretty much covered all the bases on everything that we wanted to cover tonight.
You
For the
brought
most
up
part.
the concept of I can never pronounce it correctly.
Gestalt.
Yeah, we could talk about that for a few. I mean, we have about 10 minutes. Do you think we could cover in 10 minutes plus?
Go for
Gestalt
it.
is basically multi-classing, but it's different in one specific way. Gestalt games for 3.0, 3.5, and Pathfinder, if you decide to do this, is a very high-powered game because you're not just one class; you're two classes at the same exact time. So if you want to be a thief and a fighter, you take the best of both classes at the exact same level. So if I'm level 3, I'm getting my 3 fighter feats, first level, second level, and my my bonus human feat, because why not? And then I'm also getting my evasion, my uncanny dodge, my sneak attack. I'm getting all of that stuff at level 3 for all of the classes that I am at that point, which Gestalt is just 2 classes typically. So it really is a extreme power build of multi-classing. Anyone else got anything to add to that?
Well, I mean, if you can mix and match them too, which is nice. But I mean, you still are locked in by the rules that are set out. For instance, you can't play a barbarian monk because barbarians can't be lawful. Monks have to be lawful. But you can play a barbarian cleric.
Paladin
or
monk.
a paladin monk, even a monk rogue. You could truthfully get away with that because I mean, think about it. Your stealth is ungodly anyway as a monk or a rogue. Oh, look, I'm going to punch him for a sneak attack. And it's just truthfully, yeah. So I mean, one of my favorites, it kind of it does wind up being a little redundant, is a fighter ranger, because then you got the bows and you can level up your bow stuff real super quick.
Cleric thief, yeah, that's a playable option.
Depends on who you're. If you're a halfling, it's glitter gold.
I mean, depending on the pantheon of gods that you have in the game world, yeah, you could be a cleric thief of Ali Jamara. At that point, it just makes sense.
I know 5e has moved away from alignments, which I don't exactly agree with, but I'm not the one who wrote the system. Where alignments are not as hardline as they were in earlier editions, where you can be a barbarian paladin. And it is interesting. It's a very interesting character to look at, but I personally think paladins still need to be lawful good. Barbarians still need to be, can't be lawful good. But that's just me as, like I said, I started in editions where barbarian fighters are fun to play. They are really fun to play. But I'm starting in older editions where the alignments were hard line. Now, if you do it in 5e, yeah, you can be your barbarian. You can be a barbarian paladin. You can be a barbarian cleric. You can be a paladin rogue. And it,
Basically,
even be
5e basically said we're not going to say no to anything.
yeah, but they also left it to the DM to say no, no, which it still has a hardline rule. DM has final say at the table.
you could be a wizard cleric. You could actually, leveling that up simultaneously. You don't even really need to take the Mystic Theurge prestige class because you basically are a Mystic Theurge all the way.
Or was that bard druid?
Well, druid cleric, bard, sork.
Actually, I've done that in earlier editions. I've played a cleric druid. I worshipped a nature deity, and it kind of worked out well enough.
Yeah.
But
So I
it
mean,
was multi-classing.
yeah, but with the Gestalt, it is the ultimate of multi-classing. But the thing is that on the other side is the GM. If you're running that, you've actually got to sit down and do some homework on the quote unquote bosses that you're throwing at people, because they should also have that same opportunity. I
Well, not
played
just that.
and I played in a Gestalt game where everyone had like a special boon, is the best way to put it. And so I was playing a fighter rogue, and who basically could roll my bluff on every single attack, before every single attack, for a feint, and to catch them flat-footed and everything else. And it was an ungodly roll, and it was only like 3rd, 4th level. It was still an ungodly. It was a plus. I had a plus 30 on my bluff check for that. So yeah, and on top of it, I wasn't playing a human or anything else like that. I was playing a Goliath. So yeah, he was, he talked a little like this, and yeah. One time, it was scary because stand up here on mountain and watch the pack of Tarrasque go by. And I rolled for the bluff check, and I made the bluff check for a pack of Tarrasques walking by. So I mean, it's
that's funny. This one will lead you to a greater horde than the one you have now.
But I mean, it's what you make of it, and that's the thing, is like with anything that we're talking about, it does come down to the DM's prerogative. If the DM is going to run something like this, maybe it's a bunch of fairly seasoned players, who are, like Jaide said, are bored with playing the normal archetypes. That is something that you can do, which makes people start thinking, well, how are these combinations going to work together? What are the synergies I'm going to get off of this? And it actually, it puts the players in a completely different mind state than the point and click of just, doing things.
It also allows for unique combinations of class abilities and powers and such. I'm not necessarily against the idea of multi-classing entirely, or even Gestalt entirely. In certain game systems, I don't think it's necessary, sure, but you can actually, build out really unique characters if you multi-class or if you Gestalt. Assuming the DM allows these things, will I play a spell slinging wizard? Well, yeah, sure. Have gun will travel. Have spell with gun will do weird shit. It allows for unique concepts to come to play and be brought to bear. It's not for every game. It's not for every game master. Honestly, follow what your game master is asking for, and respect their decision not to do things or to allow things.
I mean, for those players, I mean, have shitty die rolls to begin with. They can't roll past a 10 on a D100. I mean, I can see where it kind of rounds itself out for those players who normally have, just their dice hate them, or if you're using, whatever system, not whatever system, whatever dice he has to throw, it does round it out a little bit more in their favor because no one wants to be that player at the table. I'm going to swing at this goblin. I rolled a 5. Does a 5 hit a goblin? No, sorry, Bobby. You need to roll a 6. Well, fuck.
The goblin kicks you in the knee.
So I mean, I can see the. I mean, that's with multi-classing and the other one. I mean, multi-classing does eat at the numbers some, but does round out some other areas.
I don't know. How do you guys feel about we beat on this topic a little bit? We could have Kai rant on it later on because I
Oh yeah,
mean
definitely.
he's always good for an angry rant.
Oh man, we
Well,
could serve this up to him in a doggy bag for next week. Holy crap! Or just find time for him to actually have a channel. Kai's taken the weekly chat.
Oh my god! And that fucker would make his own money. I want him on my pay. Damn it. Yeah, that'd be fine. That'd be fine.
so I think we've pretty much now have hit everything that I think we've brought up this week.
Yeah, next week. I want to kind of get into. There's a 7 types of games that, or 7 types of adventure outings that Jade keeps throwing up. Like there's 7 types of adventures, and I was looking at some old stuff from Beckme, and they kind of go over the same thing, and I think it'd be a good way for us to discuss or go through about 3 hours of discussion because I want to get into the weeds on that. I think we need to.
Yeah, I
Okay,
like
we
chats
can
where
do that.
we're deep diving into topics. Those always seem to work better for us.
And and once again, I'm not trying to like if you guys don't like if the people in chat don't enjoy just the current edition of Dungeons and Dragons that's class and skill based. Don't feel like we're excluding you. We love anything else gaming wise too. Not all of us want to play Vampire the Masquerade or certain tabletop games, but and those games have a place. But like if one of my friends came in town and said, "Hey, I'm going to be available this Friday night, and we're playing Shadowrun," as much as I hate Shadowrun, if you're telling me all of my friends from back up in Illinois are going to be at the same table, and we're going to have an open bar outfit, for like drinking, I'll be doing it. I'll be more than happy. Yeah, I'll play that miserable game. But if somebody says, Bruce, we're going to play Star Wars D6 or Traveler, we're going to play whatever it is. Okay, we're
So
all
when are we
sitting down.
doing this?
We have to do it soon.
When is the next time we're gonna be up in Illinois?
Wait. When are we buying the house?
We'll be discussing. We're trying to discuss that very quickly. But I trust me, I'm trying to get a hold of one right now. But we will be needing to discuss that because like seriously, if you guys are at home and you've got 3 or 4 friends that you could have at the table, and then you've got some other friends that are out of state or out of the area, but you guys communicate via interwebs, why don't you set up a Discord, or why don't you set up a StreamYard, or don't you have the ability? Everybody does. You got a microphone, you have a camera, run a game. Tell your buddies that are not presently physical, or presently in the present in your location. Bob, I know you're in Saudi Arabia, but what time would be good for us all to kind of get together? We got some ability to play again. Tell us. And if you can work it out, work it out. Spend 5 or 6 hours together. You're gonna miss a little sleep. You're gonna miss sleep no matter what. You're gonna miss sleep being worried about bills or what's your kid gonna do when it grows up, or oh my god, my dog is sick. You don't have an immeasurable amount of time to do things. So if you and some friends have the ability to sit down and pretend to play a game with clickety clack math rocks and
No. Wait. You have to have Jade say it correctly.
go for it,
Oh,
Jade.
talk!
Tiny math rocks, they make the click clack sound. Want the more? All the more.
So if you have the ability to do that, don't. And what else are you doing? If your wife or girlfriend allows you to do this, if she gets into it, that's great. Yeah. Janet says you only have one life. Try to get some time in at the game. And for those of you that don't have that ability, and you have a desire for it, go for it. Connell, what are you painting there?
I am painting the bottom half of Baba Yaga's dancing hut, the chicken feet.
Nice. Very,
I
very
think, I think I'm going to do the legs, the top fur up here, top feather, put a little bit of red to it. I think I haven't spent that much time looking at chicken legs to actually know what the feathers look like, but I'm gonna wing it.
Yeah, the only chicken legs he looks at are the ones that he's putting in his mouth.
Yeah, I'm almost done with the single mom waitress, which I've got to do, baby. Hey, don't laugh, okay? Every town has one. Come on. My
Does she
husband,
work at the stripper guild?
she very well might. Oh, that'd be a great adventure hook. Anyway, we will talk about the stripper guild next Thursday as well, because we need to explain what they do. And who doesn't like talking about young people that make bad decisions?
Or financially sound? Holy crap!
Yes.
Oh wait, Jade, are you petting a
So
dog there?
I see two
Yes.
doggies. Doggies.
This is one of them.
Man, everybody, wait.
that's the hey.
Oh,
Wait.
yeah.
You talked about Mel's in East Peoria?
Oh,
Well,
the
Because
hey.
everybody keeps bringing
Oh
up
my
this
God.
Mel's restaurant to me, and I've yet to go there, and I like food. I mean, I like food.
Yes. The
It's off
Huskies are
Bloomington and Kerfoot.
the Huskies are amazing.
We love dogs here. Janet, my apologies to you, hon. I'm sorry to read that. I've been without a dog for 10 years and I need to get a dog again. I explained earlier at the beginning of this very show, I explained why. Okay. Hey,
It's me, Mario.
Jade, what would you say about having Shadow and Sun as a guest for next week's stream?
You're
Okay, you
muted.
must be muted.
Even though he's mute, he's giving you the thumbs up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Awesome.
I'm trying to kill all the excess noise my dogs might make. Sorry.
Doggies.
Well, Garrett, appreciate you being with us
Yes.
tonight. I know things are kind of rough in your neck of the woods.
Actually, we got some. We actually got some good news. She may be coming home tomorrow.
Good news.
Tomorrow.
She'll be coming home with and actually it looks like they are possibly going to be giving her a portable dialysis machine that she can actually bring home. And she can do it, basically here at home and then go to the hospital or the place that they do it once a month. So that's better than 3 times a week. So that they were talking about. So Yes, so she hopefully will be coming home here very, very, very soon, as in tomorrow. I'm just waiting for her to have the doctor say yes, and then as soon as I get off work, I'll be springing her from her containment.
Dun dun dun. Now, Shadow, when you say romance novels, are we talking about bounce wow wow or actual real romance novels? Because my grandma used to read romance novels, and those were fairly bloody nose.
Fairly provocative.
I'm a big fan of Harlequin romance. I'm not going to lie.
And
There's
there he
one.
stands with a strong chest with little patches of dark curly hair, and he looks down at me and he goes.
I'm gonna totally destroy our monetization on this stream here.
All right, hold on. Let me mute you.
Okay.
No, I don't care.
Didn't know you had that power. By
Well,
the power
I'm streaming this too, so I can mute the overall.
Oh, so how often have I been muted there, bub?
What? Wait, what?
Giggity. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, yeah, that again.
Shades of Grey, the erotic best-selling novel read by Gilbert Gottfried.
My inner goddess has stopped dancing and is staring too, open-mouthed and drooling slightly.
Hear it the way it was meant to be heard.
Wow.
She
I'm sorry. I'll
That's
throw the link in the chat there. That is just the best. That's the best thing that Gilbert gave us after the aristocrats. Go ahead and send us home there, be it Baron G Rock.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. We definitely have enjoyed having you guys with you. We will be back next week. Make sure that you do check out all of our panelists. We will get links in the chat here shortly, and so you can make sure you follow them, myself, the Cigar DM, and also Jaide. We'll get those links in there for you. And we, as a good friend of mine who happens to be in my chat right now, likes to use, I'm going to steal his exit line. So, time is a very finite resource. And we definitely do thank you for spending a little bit of that resource with us. Talking about things that we absolutely do love, which is the tabletop gaming. So, we do hope to see you next week. And until then, we will catch you later.
Thank you, everybody.